Hello, guys, and welcome to another episode of Sportsian. So, here we have Shrikant with us. Hi, Shrikant. Happy New Year.
Hello, Hemant. Happy New Year and Happy New Year to all our viewers.
Yeah, so it's been an exciting year, 2020. We've seen a lot of ups and downs. So, me and Shrikant are here to discuss the F1. We'll not be discussing the 2020 season, but we'll be looking forward for the 2021. I'm really excited for this 2021 season. Shrikant, what about you? Like, how much are you excited about this?
Yeah, I'm also greatly excited with a couple of teams changing their names, a lot of driver movements, and finally happy that Sergio landed a place. It is like a blessing in disguise for him to be removed from that Racing Point seat, so he can jump from what was a third or fourth best car to the definitely the second best car on
Second.
the grid. So that is a very good thing, and I think with him being there, Red Bull will have much more competitive, both competitive drivers to put brakes on Mercedes strategy during the race. So that should be really exciting. And obviously, McLaren have been doing good, and return to Mercedes power should give them more impetus. And even Daniel in coming into McLaren, and obviously one of my favorite drivers, Fernando, returning to Formula One. It would be a great year looking ahead for that.
Yeah, it's a lot of excitement. I mean, we should have had the new regulations if everything was according to plan. We would be having new cars, new design, new everything.
Exactly.
But since we are in some unprecedented times, so F1 has pushed that regulations to one more year. So we'll be having the new regulations in 2022, and right now we'd be racing with, I think, 60 to 70% of the cars will have the same
Yeah,
specifications in the 2020.
exactly.
So
Exactly.
we'll start off with Mercedes, the reigning champions, the reigning constructors, reigning drivers champions. We have the
Yeah.
seven-time world champion Lewis Hamilton, who did not yet sign his new contract, but we are sure that he will sign it, and
Yeah.
he would be definitely going for his eighth drivers championship.
Exactly. Yeah. Even I feel the same. I think couple of things that they were waiting for. He, on a personal level, would have been waiting for Toto to see what Toto would have done. So with Toto having signed on for 3 more years, I'm pretty much expecting a contract in the similar lines. Maybe a 2 or 3 more year extension for Lewis. I think this will be his last contract negotiation with Mercedes or with any Formula One team for that matter. Yeah, this looks exciting times. We'll see. I'm pretty sure Lewis will not have it as simple as this or the previous year in the coming year. It will be a much more intense championship battle, both for Lewis and for Mercedes, considering how Red Bull have developed and considering their new and experienced driver lineup. So it is an exciting time. But as you told, it is pretty sure that pen will be put to paper very soon so that Hamilton will sign a 2 or 3 year extension with Mercedes.
Yes, and what about Valtteri Bottas? I mean, he has come into every season saying that this is my year. I will definitely win a championship this time around. He wins the initial races. In 2019, he
Exactly.
won the Australian Grand Prix. In 2020, he made a
Yeah,
very
the
strong statement
Austrian.
in the Austrian Grand Prix. But he fizzled out. I mean, it's really strange for him with Russell breathing down his neck very near.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm not sure if he would be getting any contract extension if he doesn't. And I think that if he wants to win a championship, it has to be 2021.
Exactly. Exactly. We have heard all the stories of Valtteri 2.0 in 2019 and Valtteri 2 3.0 in 2020, and it never seems to materialize for him after the first 2 or 3 races. Hamilton always seems to catch up, even Hamilton or even Max for that matter. If Max didn't have all these technical failures or some of his driver errors, he would have most probably finished second place instead of Valtteri Bottas. So that being in probably a dominant car, which is on an average like half a second or almost a second quicker than the next car, which is Red Bull. So that is a bit of a letdown for Bottas. So I feel it is more in terms of his mindset, where once he starts getting beaten consistently by Hamilton or even Verstappen, he kind of loses it. Not so much this year in the qualifying, but his race pace and race trim and race skills are at a questionable juncture, especially having seen what Russell did to him, or like was about to do to him in the Sakir Grand
Sakir
Prix
Grand Prix.
before this. Yeah, before that mess up and an unfortunate puncture again, like two things that happened to Russell. So Bottas, as you rightly told, this is definitely Bottas' last chance. But I was even wondering, like, if mid-season or like early season switch is also possible, because even Russell hinted I might have a chance with Mercedes even before 2022. So that is a thing to keep an eye out for. Maybe a mid-season switch like Red Bull is even possible between Williams and Mercedes if Bottas's form dips a lot, and if the Red Bulls are breathing down the Mercedes neck, or even if they're ahead.
I hate to see mid-season transfers. I mean, they're very depressing. I don't like. I mean, if a team has shown faith on a driver, they have to be there. And Red Bull is very famous for these kind of switches in between seasons.
Yeah.
And
But
talking about
even
Red
I don't
Bull,
think. Yeah.
Yeah. So talking about Red Bull, we have a new lineup. Max, obviously the driver number one, and he's been paid up with Sergio. Finally, you've been saying that he has finally got a. I mean, it's been a dream run, for Perez. If you see, he's won a Grand Prix. He leaves a third best or fourth best team, fifth best team, to a second best team. And after all, switching out of Racing Point is not such a bad thing that has happened to Sergio.
Exactly. This has been, as I told, a blessing in disguise. When he went to McLaren in 2011, it was just his second year in Formula One, and he wasn't that prepared to be in a big team. And obviously, at that point, McLaren was in a downtrend. So, having pitted against Jenson Button, who was a previous world champion at that time, he couldn't prove his mettle, and McLaren didn't trust him for a longer run. But after that, we all know what he has achieved with Force India and current Racing Point. So it would have been really devastating if he couldn't have found a seat for 2021. But thank God and all stars aligned, he got into the second best team. And I'm pretty sure he'll push Max Verstappen and even Red Bull to a greater height, definitely more than what Alex or Gasly did in the previous 2 years. So pretty exciting times. I even think he'll definitely be in the top 5 in all the races that he finishes. So that will be a great prospect to Red Bull and even to all the fans watching, so that we don't have to watch Mercedes dominance all season long.
One more interesting fact about this pairing up, the only other non-Red Bull Foundation driver that Red Bull has taken was with Sebastian Vettel, Mark Webber. And you know what that pairing has done? They won 4 consecutive drivers and constructors championship. And I think Christian would be going deja vu kind of a thing now. Because getting in Sergio, who is not a Red Bull Foundation driver or Red Bull Academy driver, pairing up with Verstappen. So similar age, similar kind of scenario. But I think Red Bull have this issue with Honda leaving F1 at the end of 2021. They need to sort it out also. There have been plans of buying out Honda, their engine development program. And so what do you think about that? Do you think it's
I'm pretty sure Red Bull won't go back to any other teams unless they are in absolute dire need. Most probably they will work out this Honda deal to restructure and get all the structures back to Milton Keynes in their operating structure. So they will be a pure play constructor rather than a supplier or a team that gets their engines. So I think that is pretty much sure. They just have to work out with the other engine manufacturers and the FIA, which will be done. But yeah, as you told, this is like a look back at Vettel and Webber's scenario, like that dominant force that was Vettel, Christian, and Helmut Marko at the top. This will be very similar to that. I'm also looking forward to whether the spicy kind of exchanges will be also there, like the multi-21 saga between Vettel and Webber. Maybe Sergio will definitely be not a pushover, like I don't say it seems a pushover for Albon or Gasly, but definitely he'll be much more feisty and fighting in terms of track position when he is in front of Max, or when there is a 50-50 chance of overtaking Max. So he'll definitely take that call. He'll not be easily persuaded as a Alex or a Gasly. So that will definitely spice things up. But as of the moment, Red Bull have a very good driver lineup. So that should be a very good, interesting prospect for 2021 at least.
Yeah, and now comes the former McLaren Renault, which is McLaren Mercedes now. So it's a very interesting times for McLaren. I mean, in 2018 they were like at the bottom, and they've come fighting with a new driver lineup, Carlos and Lando. They've grabbed 4th, and this year they've grabbed 3rd. And mind the viewers, the last time they won the last three drivers championships, 98, 99, and 2008, have been come with the McLaren power. Sorry, the Mercedes power. So this would be interesting to see how. And I also have one thing to say. Actually, Vettel not signing with Ferrari has disturbed many nice combinations, I would say. Lando, Sainz, and McLaren were the perfect combo, and even Ricardo was getting that touch with Renault. He was with their up to pace. He won two podiums and all. So I thought that it just messed up some nice combinations, which would have yielded better results. But yeah, what do you think of Ricardo Lando?
Yeah, that will definitely be a meme fest for all of us. The two jokers of Formula One being in the same team. But having said that, on pure talent, even I still feel Ricciardo is slightly ahead of Sainz. So in those terms, McLaren should be getting the better deal. They would be happier. But again, maybe Ricciardo's years in Formula One are a bit more limited to Sainz compared to compared to Sainz, because he's much more older. But at the moment and based on current form, I feel McLaren should be slightly happier team, given they're getting, in my opinion, the better driver and definitely the best power unit on the grid, which is Mercedes power. So they'll be the best and the happiest team among the midfields. And my gut feel is they'll definitely finish top three and even challenge for more podiums this in the coming season with Ricciardo and Lando. But having said that, I still feel that Ricciardo might take at least like the first half or 6 to 7 races to quite settle in, as we saw with even Renault. So even in his first year, even in the ending races only, like we saw the actual Daniel Ricciardo, the late breaking moves in Renault, where he took time to settle down, and then we saw his prowess in the second year. So I think the first half of the season, it will be a bit more struggle for Ricciardo to settle down. And obviously, he'll also be driving the Mercedes car for the first time, as will be Vettel in Aston Martin. So that will be an exciting new chapter for both of them. But I definitely feel McLaren will be the best of the rest behind Mercedes and Red Bull.
We hope so. We really hope so. McLaren does give tough fight to the Red Bulls and the Mercedes. Now coming to Force India / Racing Point / the newly named Aston Martin, the Green Hornets, I would say call them now. From the Pink Panthers, they're becoming the Green Hornets. So, what do you think of the pairing? I mean, Stroll, Vettel definitely in the first time in his career would be racing for a midfield team, even though Ferrari was a midfield team in 2020. So he might have just got accustomed to how it is to be stuck in the middle and not getting those podiums, wins, and all. But he definitely would not want to experience that feeling. He's definitely looking out for that fifth drivers' championship, definitely. But do you think Aston Martin has that package that can deliver him?
Yeah, based on what was Racing Point or Racing Point's uh, DNA in 2019 and what they delivered, I am still of the opinion that, in my opinion, Stroll is, if not the last, if he is in terms of capabilities, he is like 20th or 19th on my list of all the drivers. I still feel he's even below Latifi, so I don't feel he deserves a chance in that third or fourth best car. But even with that, having said that, Vettel coming in is a good pairing. But if it was paired with Sergio Perez, they would have had the better deal. But still, even as we saw, Vettel struggled initially, like first half or even the first 2/3 of the season. But from Nürburgring onwards, he was like rediscovering his old form. So I think it will be difficult to for Vettel to accustom initially, but if he can find his footing in Racing Point or Aston Martin, as we're going to call in the near future, so he's going to take up that team leader role and direct the team where it has to go and what direction it has to take. And I'm pretty sure Sebastian Vettel is a very good team leader, so he can do that and guide the team to perhaps maybe a tough fight for third, or definitely fourth or fifth in the constructors championship in the coming season is very good prospect for them. Maybe as Sergio also did, if opportunity presents, we can see a surprise Vettel victory in 2021.
Yeah, we hope so. We get to see Vettel more on the podiums. But as I said, yeah, the first time he would be driving a Merc powered car in his entire career. He had driven with Renaults and Ferraris. So we'd see how his own country made engine would bring luck to him or not. Uh, now moving on to the next team in the standings, Renault or the Alpine Racing team, that they would be. They have had very pretty interesting lineup, I would say. I was not expecting. I mean, there were rumors of Alonso coming back in 2019, but I was not expecting which team would be there to accommodate him. He's almost 39, 40 years old now. And he did not have any past. He did not have great seasons since 2015 when he paid with McLaren. So I was not expecting him to get back, but Renault definitely showed faith in him. Maybe I have a theory for this. Maybe since they're changing their brand name and all, they needed a face that stood out there to market the Alpine brand name. So that might be a reason. But yeah, not taking anything away from Alonso. I think Esteban Ocon would definitely be a good Robin to Alonso.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, continuing on your point, I think Renault definitely needed a face saver once their prescribed star driver or to be star driver Daniel Ricciardo shifted ship once he signed into McLaren. It was probably a bit of embarrassment for both Renault and Abitable, who was like hell bent on signing him from Red Bull. But once Ricciardo left, they wanted a star name to represent their team. And I think if Russell had moved to Mercedes, maybe they would have went to a Bottas. But that didn't materialize. And obviously, with the past connections with Fernando, having won couple of championships and having already worked with Renault and all their engineers and team management for more than 5-6 years, so Alonso would have been the next best option for them. And it was a face saver, as I mentioned. So that is a good option. But I think Fernando's return will not be like what was for Schumacher. I think Alonso is in his, if not the primest position, but still very near to his prime. You might have seen his 2005 car testing around the Abu Dhabi circuit. Yeah, it was
there's a lot of bit controversy around it.
Yeah,
the young drivers test.
Right. Young drivers test where a 40 or a 41-year-old young driver was driving. But having said that, that car, he drove it around like just 1.5 seconds slower than the current Mercedes, which is the benchmark. But still, so Alonso is like still a very, very good driver. Having said that, I am pretty much sure of the opinion that he will beat Ocon over the season. So, and it will also help Ocon. It will also help push Ocon. But I have a very interesting theory. If Ocon performs to a very similar level to what he did this year against Alonso, I think he'll be replaced by Pierre Gasly for 2022 season. So that Renault or Alpine, which will be called in the future, will have their French brand and a French driver to market in the French team. And they also feel that maybe Gasly is a better prospect for the future than Ocon. That having said, if Ocon fails to deliver on what was promised or what he promises in this year. But again, Alpine, I feel they'll definitely be in hunt for the top three. But I see that McLaren will definitely have a slight edge over Alpine. So they'll definitely be fighting with Racing Point or Aston Martin, and having to see where and how Ferrari's resurrection will be. So they'll be in fight for this top 4 or 5 position, is my opinion for the 2020.
Talking of the devil, Ferraris, it's been a very, to all the viewers, don't get carried away by Srikanth wearing a Ferrari jersey. Actually, he's a Mercedes fan. So, so don't think that he's a Ferrari fan. But it's been a very scary season for Ferrari. They've been like, they've been, it's embarrassing, at least for me from the outside. It was very embarrassing to get them lapped. Mercedes was lapping them like for anything. I mean, so they've had some pretty, what do you say, drastic changes to be made in the car, and with a with the new driver, Carlos Sainz. It will be interesting to see how they go about this. And for Carlos, I don't know. I mean, Ferrari is anyways, what do you say, in that enticing thing. Whichever team you are, you would definitely want to go into that red car and race for the Italian manufacturer. I felt that Carlos got a bit carried away because I felt that he was more at home with McLaren and with Mercedes when the 2021 they taking that Mercedes engine. I felt that he was more home at there, but he chose the other way. So and even Ferrari's bosses were not confident of any win in 2021. They said that they would be looking at the 2022 season itself. They're not looking anything in between. So it will be interesting to see how Ferrari goes about this season.
True. But I feel switch to Carlos Sainz or whoever, I mean, as I already mentioned, I still felt Ricciardo might have been a better option.
Mm-hmm.
But even for Carlos Sainz, if he had seen the Ferrari car perform like before signing, because the deal had already been done even before the actual 2020 season started. At that point of time, although we had seen in like testing that Ferrari was slow, but what we all thought was they were sandbagging as usual until the lights go out in
Both
Australia.
Vettel and Charles were saying out in the open that we were not fast, but nobody was ready to believe them. Even Lewis
Because
was
the same
saying
thing,
they were sandbagging.
exactly, because the same thing used to happen every year. It was like for us, it was what we thought was it would gonna be a repeat, and we will see a much different Ferrari in Australia. But come Austria, that didn't materialize, and we saw how awful their car was, which basically, if I may quote, is down to the 2019 whatever engine regulation and engine check that happened with FIA that stayed behind closed doors.
Yeah.
But having said that, they have improved a bit. Definitely 2019 was, if not the most embarrassing, one of the most embarrassing seasons in the long history of Ferrari. I'm pretty sure they would have put this behind them. And the last third of the current season or the 2020 season, Ferrari did perform much better. So carrying forward that momentum, I think Charles is the right guy to push them forward. But maybe if it was me, I would have kept Vettel for at least one more season just to have that experience. Now it is one very good driver and one relatively good driver, in my opinion, with little lack of experience, maybe in a setup like Ferrari, where politics and peer pressure and pressure from the top and historic pressure is so much just to manage that. But having said that, Charles has been, punching above the weight and proving his worth. So definitely he is their guy for the future. Whether Ferrari will set the same their hierarchy as Charles being number one and Sainz being the number two driver, and he has to obey this all these famous Felipe Fernando is faster than you kind of messages will resurface, is what is to be seen. So if not, I still feel Ferrari definitely not as bad as in 2020, and I feel they'll be able to fight for fourth or fifth in the constructors championship in the coming season, having a focus on 2021 to return to the top step of the podium.
Yeah, we hope that something gets right for Ferrari. And talking about Alpha Tauri now, they too have a new driver lineup. I mean, the one driver remains, and Danny Kvyat has got replaced by Tsunoda, the young Japanese F2 driver. I was not serious when he was driving the what do you say? Yeah, the young drivers. I was just thinking that they were just experimenting, and there were talks that Kvyat might get replaced and all, but there was nothing solid per se. And suddenly Alpha Tauri comes and says that Tsunoda would be driving to us. So what do you think of that? Pierre had a very fantastic year. He has won a race at Monza, so it's a magical feeling to him.
Exactly.
So how long do you think Pierre will stay with AlphaTauri?
Yeah, this has been definitely Pierre Gasly's breakthrough year apart from his F2 winning season. So he has definitely improved once he has switched back to Toro Rosso in the second half of last season. So that trajectory has kept on going, and that famous win in Monza boosted his confidence, and definitely he performed much better than what he did in Red Bull. I feel he has outperformed the current AlphaTauri team Scar, but had he stayed in Red Bull itself, I don't know if the same level of performance could have been expected or like would have come out of him. Maybe in terms of a longer career perspective, it was a good move that he came back to AlphaTauri. But having said that, as we already spoke, I don't see him staying at AlphaTauri more than the 2021 season. It's either Sergio performs not so well and Red Bull call him up to the senior team, or I'm pretty sure he's either going to Alpine or a Renault a Renault or Alpine, or even a Ferrari in the near future. So I don't think he'll be sticking around more than this current year. And coming to Tsunoda, why I feel the wait was because he didn't have enough points on his super license to qualify as a Formula One driver until the last races were finished, where he got a podium. So that was one of the main reasons. They were pretty much clear that they were going to bring him in as soon as that minimum license point criteria was met. So, but I feel it's unfair on Danny Kvyat's part because I feel he drove much more matured and much more better compared to his initial days. I mean, the first stint in Formula One. Having said that, I hope that he comes back with whichever team he is, whichever team that might be possible to, willing to take him in. But I feel he did a much better job this term in Formula One. Like his racing was much more clean compared to what he was referred to as torpedo in his initial Red Bull days by Sebastian Vettel. But yeah, I did follow Formula 2 for a little while. Tsunoda is a good prospect, but I don't think we can expect much from him in the first season itself. So AlphaTauri, I'm pretty sure, will finish the season in 6th or 7th place, like similar footing where they were in this season. Having said that, I don't know if Honda improves a lot. Another win in 2021 seems highly unlikely unless there is some
safety
catastrophic,
cars, red flags.
yeah, like we were
And a
seeing.
Lewis shitty strategy to pit during a
Exactly,
safety car.
exactly. That podium was like 1 in 2 million chance, that podium that happened in Monza. So that is highly unlikely, but yeah, we'll keep our fingers crossed. Even though, yeah, all the Toro Rosso used to seem to win only in Monza, even with Vettel and now with Pierre Gasly. So we'll see what happens in next year's Monza race. So yeah, that is about AlphaTauri, but that is a good prospect. They have definitely developed, and I think either Pierre Gasly will be going to Red Bull or Alpine in the next season. Will not be staying at AlphaTauri.
Yeah, fingers crossed. There'll be so much shaking in the drivers market post 2021 or during 2021 season, because most of the drivers are on like 1 year contracts, or they are about to leave the teams and all. And the next two teams that we'll be discussing, it's the Haas and the Alfa Romeo. So I really felt strange when Alfa decided to stay with the two drivers and Haas decided to leave both the drivers. I was expecting at least they'll retain one driver, Haas, and I was expecting Alfa to retain one and leave one. So it we with with the Ferrari's engines, both the teams have definitely taken a hit because the engine was at a below par level. Even Ferrari struggled. There's no what do you say? It's no surprise that both the teams have struggled. But with the same lineup, I don't think Alfa will have any chance. I don't know if Ferrari drastically improves. Even though then also I don't think they would be doing any miracles now. But Haas, I would say there's a pretty familiar surname coming back to F1. The Schumacher name is here. Mick Schumacher, the son of Michael Schumacher, is making his F1 debut with the Haas. So, what do you think about it? And also, one more thing, it should have been Alpha or Haas to Mick.
Yeah. Let me start off with Alpha. Compared to both the teams, if we take Alpha and Haas, what I had in mind even before all these announcements were made was, if a team was going to let go of both the drivers, I felt it was more towards Alfa Romeo, because Kimi is almost 41, and I thought almost all of us thought like this will be his last season, and Giovinazzi was there and thereabouts. So And there was even talk that Giovinazzi will be replaced and Kimi might be retained. So I thought if there was any team that was going to drop both its drivers, it was going to be Alfa Romeo and bring in maybe a Mick, or there were talks that Hülkenberg or even Perez might sign into that team to maintain that young blood and mixture of young blood and experience. But it was honestly telling very surprising to see them retain both their drivers. I thought Ferrari will definitely put one of their juniors, if not Mick or Mick, even Ilott or Schwartzman into that seat, but that did not happen. And again, equally surprising that Haas dropped both their drivers. I thought Romain Grosjean's season, based on what he had, I thought he was the one going to go out, and maybe Magnussen will have another year at least alongside what was initially thought was Mazepin, because Mazepin was the one to be first announced, and then Mick as well. So I thought one young driver in Alpha and one young driver in Haas. But it has been a drastic change in Haas, where they've brought both their experienced drivers who have almost, at least Grosjean almost has stayed throughout their history, like from when Haas was from Haas's inception till today, and Magnussen joined them a year later, so they have been their mainstays. But having said that, I feel Haas will definitely be either the last team or last but one, depending on how bad Williams' car will be. But in terms of driver lineup, obviously this is the most. This is the youngest pairing, obviously. So I think the combined age of these two guys will not even be equal to or greater than one of age of Alonso or Kimi Raikkonen in the other teams. So in terms of experience, definitely they lack experience. And as you also
that
know,
gives
Schumacher
a chance to
is
Haas, right? That lack of experience definitely has chance to Haas. Like this, they have nothing to lose. Literally zero to lose and everything to gain.
Exactly. That is true. But having said that, one more point that we might have to take into account is Schumacher is not like a come in and get set goes kind of a driver. Even in F3 and F2, it has always been his second year that he has won the championship, even in F3 and in the current 2020 F2 season. So I don't expect any miracles out of him. Uh, Although we are all very excited to have that Schumacher surname, the 7-time world champion, coming back into Formula One, and along with him, the controversial Mr. Mazepin in that second Haas seat, again backed by his father's money. But he's a very feisty racer, as I told, as I was following F2 this year. Very, very feisty racer, like always elbows out, and he pretty much reminds me of this Kevin Magnussen or Romain Grosjean in their youth. So that will be a little bit exciting to see. But having said that, between those two, if Schumacher manages to outpace or outscore Mazepin by quite a margin, then I feel it is what he will be, or Schumacher will be looking out for us out from his first season. And so Alfa Romeo, to definitely the same old lineup. And I feel Alfa will be definitely looking at Giovinazzi's growth this year. And if he doesn't live up to his potential, I'm pretty sure Kimi won't stay. Hopefully, I don't know. We have all been wrong on that part. I'm pretty sure Kimi won't stay for one more year, but who knows? Kimi Raikkonen is obviously the longest serving Formula One veteran driver. So I feel change will definitely come in Alfa Romeo in the 2022 season when the new season kicks in. But yeah, I feel they will finish ahead of Haas in this 2021 season. That's my opinion.
So that's done with all the 9 teams. So one more team is left. Williams. They've gone through a lot in 2020. There's been a change in the management with Williams selling out to Darlington Capital, and so it will be interesting to see, right? They've been I'm expecting them to be better in 2021, sorry, because they've got that additional funding. They've got that funds. They can get the talent. They always had that power. They've been powered by Merc cars. So it's all about the chassis. It's all about the aerodynamics of the car that they've been going wrong every time. So and also the interesting thing would be to retain Russell for 2022. And I don't see a point in Russell staying at Williams beyond 2021 because we've seen what he can do in a Mercedes in 2020 at the Sakhir Grand Prix, and it was phenomenal. He's been fast. It's been just class, right? I think I think we've had this discussion already. We were saying that I think that Russell is a driver that has to be watched out because right now nobody's noticing him. But given a right car, right setup, and all, he can beat anybody on his day.
Yeah, that is true. That is very true, Hemant. So I feel Williams' prospect is, I mean, they'll definitely be the backbenchers of again the 2021 season as well. But having said that, this at least the 2020 season they have showed signs of improvement in their car. If they can bridge that gap to Alpha and Haas, it will be much more better. Hopefully, they can score their first points, and I mean, Russell and Latifi can score their first points in a Williams car in the 2021 season. And as you told, I don't think Russell would be staying in Williams for more than this year. And based on what he was suggesting, he was even suggesting that it might happen even in 2021. But we'll have to see. I think it will be cruel on everybody's part to see such a talent get wasted in. I mean, apologies for telling in a Williams car, but still, I don't think it will be good to see Russell in Williams in another year. I feel if at all it is to happen, there might be a switch between Bottas and Williams. Bottas and Russell for 2022 seats. If
Bottas should
Hamilton
be
stays for
called to
more than
his
2 or
home
3 years.
team.
Yeah, that is what I
He'd be
think
called back
will.
to Williams.
Yeah, that is what I think will happen. But yeah, in terms of Williams' prospect, I pretty much feel they will be the number 10 position in the Constructors' Championship unless Haas or Alfa Romeo have a very bad season and couldn't score any points, and Williams get very lucky to score a few points in few races. But having said that, while Mercedes are the benchmark for the top teams, Williams will be the last benchers for the 2021 season as well, is my opinion.
We hope we see the old Williams back. We really hope that Williams get back to its home, but we know that it's difficult. It's a process that is ongoing, and rebuilding is never easy. So uh, so we'll see. We hope Williams, as you said, Russell gets his first points and then Williams.
Yeah.
So
Hemant, what do you think of this 2021 calendar? Obviously, this is going to be the longest calendar in Formula One history with 23 races. And again, 3 triple headers that something similar to what we had in this year. Although this year we had it because of the pandemic and shortage of time. Next year also we are having because we are having 23 races. So what do you feel? Do you feel it will be great to Formula One to visit all these new circuits and these many tracks, or should it have stuck with the older 20 or 21 calendar season?
it's good. I mean, it's good to grow every year. It's something that has to be watched out, and that too, sport has been really limited in 2020. Only
Right.
few places were there where sport was being played, and the entire 2020 calendar was around Europe and Middle East and all. They did not fly out anywhere. They were just racing in Europe circuits and all. So it would be a welcoming change to go out again, race in different continents, different racetracks and all. And it's good to the what do you say, the racing also, because every time racing on known circuits, like it will not be that interesting, I would say. So when drivers are given a new circuit altogether, it would be interesting to see because everybody is starting from that ground zero thing, building on that part. And so yeah, it's a welcoming challenge. We don't know how 2021 will be also, because if the situation eases, it's fine, but if the situation deteriorates or it goes bad again, they might be back to the 2020 calendar saying we'll only race in Europe. And also for now it's fine to have 23 races on the calendar. So it's excitement for everybody, fans, for the drivers, for the sponsors, everybody.
Another new thing will be the coming in of 3 young drivers from Formula 2, Schumacher, Mazepin, and Tsunoda. I think this is the first time more than 2 drivers have come in from F2 for the same season. and Albon and Norris in the previous season that have come into Formula One. But this time, three people have come in. So, what do you think about their prospects, and whom do you think among these three will finish in the higher in the standings?
It's I mean, I've not seen Sonoda drive actually, so it's not fair on my part to like tell who might be a better driver and all. But Schumacher's name is really tempting to not say his name out there. Mick. So and we hope. I think AlphaTauri has got the better car. So logically speaking, Sonoda has to perform better than the both the Haas driver. But uh, we'll see. I hope that I think it will be Sonado, Mick, then Mazepin. So that should be the order for me, at least
Right,
for me.
right. Yeah,
It's just
even
owing
I
to the
feel
car's performance based on 2020 and the
exactly,
future.
exactly. Even I feel the same. So
So
yeah, and as we speak, I think Hamilton will be knighted finally in the Queen's New Year honors list. So as many of the fans, and not just Formula One fans, many sports fans and all the Hamilton lovers around the world were waiting. So finally, it has happened after he has equaled Michael Schumacher's 7 world titles. So what do you feel about it? Do you think he deserved it?
obviously he deserved it. Winning is one thing they say, but what do you say? Keeping that benchmark and winning again and again is something altogether different class. And Hamilton has shown what he's made of. I mean, he was down actually. He was not on the podium in Austria, and everybody thought that this might be the year Bottas breaks Hamilton. But Hamilton didn't show any such signs. He just kept on winning, 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 and eventually we got good. I mean, he won on three wheels. You don't have answers for
Yeah,
it when a driver drives almost more than half a lap in the three wheel
right,
car. So
right.
you don't have words to describe. So it's all about whether he breaks that seven, he equal that seven. Would 2021 would be the year where you'd be achieving that eighth? I mean, everything says that he would achieve it. It's there because cars are not changing much. It's almost they'll be carrying almost the same car. So based on that, it shouldn't be that difficult for Hamilton to get his eighth, and Mercedes also to get their eighth driver constructor championship.
So yeah. So finally, already you have said that. So do you feel Hamilton will be the one to beat? I mean, obviously he'll be the one to beat for the drivers' championship in the coming season. But where do you feel the fight will be for both the drivers and the constructors' championship for 2021? At least on a personal level, I don't feel that Hamilton will have it that easy in the coming season for the drivers' championship. And even maybe if I could go out on a limb, I think Hamilton might not even win the championship in 2021, considering past circumstances like what it was in 2015, where he dropped off at the end after winning. And even this year, having got that COVID and last 2-3 races, he didn't perform. I mean, one race he missed, and the other 2 races he wasn't on par with his usual levels of performance. So I feel 2021 might be difficult to Hamilton, but again, having said that, he is Lewis. But I feel if the challenge has to come from either Bottas or Verstappen, this is their best chance to beat Hamilton for the world title. So that is my opinion. What do you feel, Hemant?
I mean, constructors, I don't think there's any
Yeah,
team to beat Mercedes. I
true.
don't. I mean, it would be really shocking. I mean, if they repeat a Sakir pit stop thing the entire 2021, nobody can say about it. But I don't think there's any way that constructors title is going anywhere from Mercedes, at least in 2021. Maybe Red Bull might give a fight, might come a 50 points closer to them this year, but I don't see them overtaking Mercedes.
True.
But as you said, a drivers' championship, you never know what Valtteri is thinking because he definitely knows his job is on the line. Now,
Yeah.
the initial races will definitely give out an idea like where this
Yeah.
championship is heading.
True.
So I feel that the only driver who can threaten Hamilton is Valtteri, the other person in the same Mercedes. Uh, Having said that, you would never cannot rule out Max as well. We don't know how Honda is. I mean, given that this is their last year in in F1. So Honda might be like wanted to give a better engine this time, far better engine, so that they can go for that wins. Not they've been getting those podiums, but it's all about those wins now. But still, I feel that Valtteri is the only driver who can give Hamilton a run for his money. And if there is a swap, then Russell. The swap with Williams, then Russell. If Russell is in the other car, it would be really difficult for Hamilton to. I don't know how comfortable would he be with having Russell as his partner.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. But we definitely hope that will happen at least in 2022. We want to see a Hamilton-Russell pairing at least for 1 year before Hamilton retires. Yeah. So yeah, that's it, folks. We had a very entertaining and exciting 2020 short 2020 calendar. Hope the same carries over for 2021 as well, with all the new faces coming in and all the new names. Legendary return of Aston Martin into the Formula One grid, and Renault rebranding as Alpine, and Fernando Alonso also coming back. So we'll definitely expect a very exciting and opportunistic season coming ahead, and much more tighter championship battle for both the drivers and constructors championship. Hope you have enjoyed this video. Once again, wishing all the fans a very happy new year. Stay safe and stay healthy. And this is Srikanth and Hemant signing off. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.